understanding who you truly are is easy, actually. It seems hard because they've given you this manual with all precise information and directions about how to live life, which you followed, but doesn't work anymore. They told you, get on these rails, go through these stations, you'll make these mistakes, but eventually you'll be happy. So little by little, you built your little train, you loaded it with everything you needed for the trip, and set it on the rails. Although it's true, sometimes you derail, but eventually you always manage to get back on track. I'm the third of 3 children. My brother and my sister are 8 and 7 years older than me. So it's like I had 4 parents, each with their own manual that I had to follow. And as a child, if you asked me what's the meaning of life, I would have told you it's to be immortal, like the emperors of Rome. So I tried to be immortal myself. I tried to do something different from what I saw other people doing. And somehow I thought that learning English, studying abroad, migrating eventually for work, which were all things that I was nudged to do, and I didn't do actually deliberately, I was too little, were all things that would have allowed me somehow to find my own path, to get on my own rails. But what I didn't understand and that I understand now is I just went on different rails. I got farther from the original rails I was supposed to go on to, but I just found other ones. So at 22, I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I was in this existential crisis when from a shelf by my front door, I picked Osho's Yoga. And it was a book that at the time I didn't, devour. I savored. And it told me that somehow I was already immortal, that the real power is in here and now, that you don't have to preoccupy yourself with anything, basically, that I, like you, can live here and now, and that everything that isn't here and now just doesn't exist. So basically what I learned was two things. One, to concentrate, and 2, to look inside me, to look for answers inside me, which is what I did. So my goal in this letter is to help you lay on your own rails. And you might have thought that to understand who you really are, you might need to visit a shrine or go somewhere religious or take some shrooms. I think you couldn't be more wrong, because knowing yourself is a journey whose map is traced inside you with millimetric precision. If you learn to orient yourself, you can get wherever you want. So don't expect to keep groping in the dark and somehow finding the light and understanding from some external forces where to go. Because the problem with most people is thinking that somehow answers to big questions are outside, while they don't see it as a path to go through. And there are 2 elements that guide the way. 2 poles, 2 sole reference. Consider everything else as an obstacle. If you learn to orient yourself, knowing who you are won't be hard. So the first pole is the one we shouldn't head towards, and is the pole of monsters. In this pole, there is at least one voice, which is the one that tells you not to do things, to remain where you are. And it's something that affects me a lot. Every time I want to step out of my boundaries, I have this voice telling me not to move. For example, I like meeting new people, but when I see somebody with shorts of an Italian football team in the gym training, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to this dude and see where he got the shorts from, I have this voice inside me telling me, you shouldn't go. What kind of question is that? Stop being the usual Italian. And so I have to fight it. And that is the voice of fear, which lives alongside at least other 3 fundamental problems or monsters that we don't want to have anything about, or that eventually we want to fight and kill. These are bad habits to which even the strongest willpower can't do anything against. Unresolved past experiences, because here we want to move forward, and if they are in the past, by definition, we can't keep dealing with them. And there are rules and assumptions, which are all these manuals that we've been handled by other people in the past, which want you to be in some certain conceptual box which simply doesn't exist. Now, these monsters usually live in the basement of our psyche. To face them, you first need to admit that they exist. So I have to tell the voice to shut up, to feel the discomfort, and to approach the dude in the gym if I want to meet new people. And the reason why it's so hard to fight these monsters is because whenever you want to change something for the better, at the beginning it's harder. So for example, leaving a job that you don't like could lead to a period of unemployment. Leaving a relationship that doesn't work means not being in a relationship. So everything that improves your life comes after worse first. To move forward, you must kill the monsters. Now, once you've killed the monsters and you're free, where do you go? Here's where the second pole, which is the right pole, comes into play. This is the pole of energy and not passion. I know you've watched at least 50 YouTube videos telling you to follow the passion, but I think this is suboptimal for at least two reasons. Number one, it assumes that you only have one, and number two, it assumes it stays the same forever. For example, do you think that Lionel Messi only likes football? So a more precise and walkable direction is given to us by energy, which, like passion, seems an abstract concept, but ultimately boils down to, does doing this thing lift you up or bring you down? And the reason why this step comes after the first one is that to kill the monsters, you need a lot of energy. And also, not to kill the monsters, you needed a lot of energy to protect them. Now, if this still feels abstract, there is a game that lights the way in 2 moves. So it's called the 9 parallel lives, and it works like this. On a paper, you write 9 parallel lives. So the first one is the one you actually live in, and you gotta be precise with it. Not too long, but precise. And then the lives from 2 to 8 are lives that you're excited about, that you wake up in the morning and you can't wait to start the day because you're so excited. Take your time to do this and try to fill a page with it, no more than that, so you can have a glimpse of it in one side. Because the second move of this game is to keep one or more of these lives, or at least elements of it, and apply them in your current life, that is life 1. Because I'm well aware that drop everything and go is a one-way ticket to hell, but it's essential to bring at least one element of what you've written on this paper to your current life, because it becomes infectious and sets the rest of your life alight with the same excitement. Now, if you still have some poison left from fighting the monsters in the first pole, here's an antidote to that. Ask yourself, what would I do if I knew I wouldn't fail? I mean, once you've killed the monsters and followed your energy, you're unstoppable, because you know exactly what you want to do, and you see everything around you as an opportunity to follow your energy, and you have nothing in between you and who you truly are. You're in front of an identity shift. You go from I could do this to I am this person, and you stop fighting with yourself. You take every step as a dance to a music that only you can play. Now, the last step. The only way this method works is if you do it now. Because if you think I'm gonna do this later, after I've done this and that, after this milestone is completed, you're never gonna do it, because you're gonna be in a loop forever. If you start now, you stop fighting with yourself and discover who you truly are. That's it. There are 2 poles for finding the way to unlock yourself.